Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
And welcome to another episode of the Philly BroCast. I am your host, Ryan.
And I'm Ryan.
What's up, bro? What's going on? How are you?
Doing well. Loving the Philly sports right now.
Yeah, I figured, we're switching things up at the studios here. So we're kind of in between studios. So we're here in my basement. As you can see, obviously, got some Eagles things down here. So figured it'd be nice to do a show from down in the basement.
Yeah, it's all decked out. I mean, if you guys can see this place, it is fantastic. Eagles wall to wall. It's excellent. Just a great environment to watch a game, to hang out, whatever. Set up very nicely. So it's an honor to be here and talk sports with you, especially with the Birds just on a roll right now. I mean, an absolute scoring tangent.
Yeah, I mean they're averaging over 40 points per game the last 3 games. Their defense has been looking really good. The score of the game was 48-22, but it was it was well over. It felt like hours before. So.
It was almost a garbage time touchdown for us, garbage time touchdown for them. Either way, absolute blowout. Miles Sanders crossing that 1,000-yard mark for the year.
Yep.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts just continuing to shine. I mean, as an entire team, they are just poised to roll for the rest of the season. with that big matchup with Dallas coming up.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Miles Sanders getting over 1,000. A.J. Brown got over 1,000. This is the first time the Eagles have had 1,000-yard rusher and 1,000-yard receiver since the 2014 season with Shady McCoy and Jeremy Maclin, respectively. And listen, we're only 13 games in.
I know, it's amazing.
Even if you only want to say, 16, 17 games, whatever, they're gonna, 3 more games add, even if they average, 70 yards a game, that's still another 200 yards that they're going to add to their totals. So, it's this offense has been very efficient. Jalen Hurts' combined yardage and combined touchdowns is right up there, with the best in the league. But what's great about Hurts is his turnover numbers. He's only had 5 turnovers.
That's incredible.
I mean, he has 3 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles. Patrick Mahomes, who everyone also considers to be an MVP frontrunner, had 3 interceptions just last game.
Yeah.
Hurts has had that for 13 games.
Yes.
So he is being very careful with the ball, but yet he's not being passive. He's still being very aggressive. He's still making throws and putting the ball into tight windows, and it's working. And I can't remember the last time where I can look at a team and just be like, man, I don't really know what to nitpick at. As Philadelphia fans, it's kind of our thing is we love nitpicking, but I don't really have much to go on other than some injury concerns. But we're obviously getting people back. We just got Avante back. We're gonna get Dallas back. All signs point to getting Dallas back for the Chicago game this Sunday, which will be great to kind of get his feet wet, get some of the rust off for that big Dallas game.
Yeah, I mean, with Goddard coming back, that's fantastic. I suspect that they'll still have Stoll and Calcaterra in there. Calcaterra, by the way, did a fantastic job on Sunday laying out people and just properly getting to his spot to set up a block for either a run or a screen or something like that. It was excellent. Not only that, towards your point with Jalen Hurts, one of the big things that Nick Sirianni is seeing in him is that confidence in throwing the ball and is the accuracy that he's been showing. One of the big things was that 4th and 7, I think it was, where Devontae Smith caught the touchdown. I mean, you don't go for a play like that if you don't trust your quarterback to be able to read a defense. He looked over at, I think, Devontae and said, man. And he was like, okay, I know what's going on. Devontae took that and had his route down. Jalen put the ball in the perfect spot. And that's what a coach likes to see. That's why a coach will return to that play or return to a 4th and long in many regards to go for that touchdown pass. And it was fantastic. I mean, even if it was just a first down, still successful, still fantastic to see. And yeah, Jalen's been on a roll and should be considered the MVP frontrunner.
He absolutely should be. I believe Vegas does have him as the odds-on favorite right now.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it really is. And it's funny because, going into this year, obviously we all had questions. We all had concerns. We all were worried about, hey, listen, this team is pretty good on paper, but it's all going to depend on Jalen.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it clearly has because Jalen is playing at an MVP level, and look at this team. We are 12-1. We are running through people. We had 1 bad game, 4 turnovers. That unfortunately does happen. It's the NFL. There's not a lot of it's not like college where Alabama's playing, directional Michigan.
Yeah.
and they're going to win by 70 points. You saw it last Sunday where the Cowboys versus the Houston Texans. We all would have thought that would have been a 20-point win, easy win for Dallas. And
for a good team and one that's considered one of the best in the NFC, I would say that should have been a 20 point.
It should have been.
And a very good point that you bring up, considering that if they were as good as advertised,
yeah.
then yes, that would have been a blowout win. But I mean, some would point back to us and say, "Hey, you didn't handle the Texans that well either. You also struggled against other teams, and
Sure.
like the Colts."
Right.
So I can understand. Again, to your point, this is the NFL. These aren't scrubs.
Right.
It's the best of the best. They're coming out every week. They're playing for paychecks, for pride, for spots next year. Everything is on the line for these guys. So there's no slouches. There's no easy games.
Yeah.
Of course, there's going to be odds-on favorites, but for the most part, every team has competitors. Every team is going to bring their A game, and every game is going to be interesting. I mean, to say that somebody is a favorite is to say that it is not a guarantee,
Right.
but most likely
Right.
they're going
Most
to
likely
win.
they're going to win. I mean, we see it all the time. The Colts beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
How do you explain that? Right. They're
But
not very
it's-
good.
It's any given Sunday.
Right. And then the Colts tied the Texans.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that's
right.
expected.
Well,
That's
yeah,
something that actually would happen.
Right, but I'm saying like that's where they are, but yet they went ahead and beat Mahomes and the Chiefs, and yeah, again, obviously it happened where we know that we're a better team than Washington. We obviously proved it earlier in the year, but again, things happen, turnovers, bad plays. What I know, we all know that the refs weren't the greatest that game, but combine that with everything else that happened, then yeah, that's going to happen. So,
And to that point, if Washington blew us out that game, then again you would look at the Philadelphia Eagles a little bit differently.
sure,
But since it was still a close game with again like a garbage time touchdown, it was still a close game for the most part.
Right.
You would have to say that the Eagles are still arguably the best team, if not the best team in the league, because of how they've handled every situation, every type of adversity that they've faced. They have overcome and played their butts off, and it's been fantastic.
yeah. I mean, I don't think trying to be unbiased and looking at the league, and again, I watch a lot of football, and seeing other teams. You look at the other teams in the NFC. You look at Minnesota.
Just lost to
Yeah,
Detroit.
we obviously beat them. They just lost to Detroit. Now Detroit's again on the come up, and they've been playing really well. I think they've won 5 out of their last 6. But yeah, I mean, you look at San Francisco. Well, they just lost Jimmy Garoppolo. Everybody's Brock Purdy, blah 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 blah. It's one game.
Flash in the pan.
One game. Tampa Bay's defense has just completely fallen off. And yeah, listen, they also lost Debo, who's probably out for the rest of the regular season. If not, maybe he'll come back that last game if they're lucky. And again, I think Dallas is the other team. So
And they just had to go out and get T.Y. Hilton.
yeah, right, exactly. Somebody who's been sitting around for anybody to get for the last 13 weeks.
Yeah.
And yeah, honestly, I didn't even know he was free agent. I just thought he was just like hurt on Indianapolis, like normal.
I have to agree with that. I wasn't sure where he came from, but I mean, he might be a good pickup for anybody who's in need going into the playoffs of just somebody in the reserve, somebody on the bench, just in case.
Yeah, I mean, again, it is a smart play for them. But yeah, listen, it is definitely going to come down for the Eagles to this Dallas game on Christmas Eve. And, you look at the national, outlook on the NFC, and everybody's always hyping up Dallas. It's just what happens. No matter if they're mediocre, they're bad, they're good, it's always Super Bowl, it's Dallas, it's yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So again, I don't really pay it that much mind when, we have a close game like Indianapolis where we were down and we came back and we won the game towards the end. It was, oh no, what's wrong with the Eagles? They just lost. They're coming off of this. They're barely beating the Colts. Like, wheels are falling off, right?
Yeah.
Move to Dallas, and it's, oh, what a gritty performance. They came back, and
Yeah.
oh man, what a team. They took it all and blah blah blah. And it just goes to show you that that's going to happen, and you can't pay it any mind. I look at this team. We match up really well against Dallas, honestly. Micah Parsons, we were able to neutralize him for the most part. In fact, he really hasn't been a factor in the last couple of games. It seems like people are starting to really focus on protecting his ability to kind of get to the quarterback. So I like our wide receivers. They match up against their corners. Trayvon Diggs, again, is a good corner.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, he is a good corner.
Yes.
He knows where to be. He has good hands, but he is a very much a risk taker, and that can be exploited. And it kind of was in the first game. So I'm not that worried about that. And their offense, they have a good run game, but what's the thing that we've been doing really well the last couple of weeks is we've been shutting down very good running backs.
Yes.
Derrick Henry, 30 yards. Saquon Barkley, under 40. Jonathan Taylor, I think, got like 80, but still, it's Jonathan Taylor. He, kept him under 100. The Green Bay running backs, we kept both of them under 60. I think under 95 total.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, so they,
and a lot of that without Jordan Davis.
Well, right, and that's the thing. It's any time that this team has an injury or has a need, Howie is just so quick to go ahead and fix it. This last game, Reed Blankenship got hurt. Looks like he'll be out for a little bit. Sipos, his gritty play, trying to get that first down and then getting late hit twice.
Yeah, not called.
Not called. Is out indefinitely, and I believe he was put on IR. So what did he do? Howie went out and got Anthony Harris, who is very familiar with our system, can come right in and play meaningful snaps. Again, I think unfortunately Taijuan Wallace is not it.
He looked lost.
Right?
Absolutely lost. Late on a lot of plays.
Yeah.
There was one play where he actually stood around and looked around like he wasn't sure that he was playing football at that time. It was very frustrating, and I'm glad that
Who that?
Yeah, I'm glad that. Remind me of that right there as the Waterboy reference, because this is fantastic.
Yes.
I know you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
But back to Kayvon or Kavan, or I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce.
Really,
but
if you play well enough, we'll know you.
Yes,
we'll learn your name.
Exactly. But he is not the option there, so I'm very happy that bringing Anthony Harris back, and then signing a former Pro Bowl kicker or punter.
Yeah.
So
Brett Kern, formerly of the Titans, 3-time Pro Bowler. I think that's a great move.
He just is a wizard.
Yeah.
The guy is amazing.
Yeah.
And I will argue till I am blue in the face against anyone out there, that Howie Roseman is still and should always be recognized as the best GM in the league.
But yeah, listen, obviously Howie has gotten some slack over the years, especially with the draft picks, the Rager pick, the JJ pick. All right. Yeah. You know what? It looks a lot worse when, you can obviously go, they could have had that guy.
Of course.
Yeah. It certainly is.
Hindsight's 2020.
Right. But every GM has that. Every GM. You look at every GM. Honestly, I would. You could just pick a random team, go over the last 10 years of drafts for that GM.
They
miss. Oh man, all pro. Could have had him.
Yeah.
It just happens. And obviously we're closer to it, so we're going to hark on it. But and again, when you look at somebody like Justin Jefferson, it looks like he's just going to get 5 million yards this year.
It's amazing because he looks like the second coming of Randy Moss.
Yeah, he's just doing anything he wants.
Yeah,
and could have had him, and that's who.
Frustrating.
Sadly, that again,
But when everything works out and shakes out, Minnesota doesn't have a Super Bowl in the last 5 years. We do,
right?
And then Minnesota also didn't make a move like trade your first round pick to get A.J. Brown,
right, and
sign him immediately to a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
Just these things alone, plus with Jordan Davis, when Nakobe Dean comes in, he does play very well and plays his heart out. And, Landon Dickerson, we can go on and on and on about what he has done well.
Yeah,
and I think it's more of he's done better moves for the future than that move in the now.
right.
And that's where he excels and shines. And
well, what's great is that you look at this draft class and you say, yeah, you have Jordan Davis, who's you know obviously playing meaningful snaps. Will most likely be have such a higher impact next year because all of our D tackles are free agents.
Mm.
So most likely they'll need to play some meaningful minutes, whether or not they re-sign Cox or Hargrave or whatever. Either way, he's going to be a big part of the defense. And then you basically have Nakobe Dean, who's, only played a small amount of snaps, but when he has been in there, especially lately, he looks amazing. And
it looks like he has such awareness of what's going on the field and knows where to be.
Right, just natural
Such a great
instinct of his situation and his positioning. So, and then you have somebody like Cam Jurgens,
yeah,
who when he was in for Kelsey for a little bit, shined.
Yeah,
and
really
you basically have kind of like 2 extra draft picks for next year that are just already sitting on your roster that have in the small amounts of time that they've played can be big impact to this team. And depending on whether Kelsey is here or not, still I think Jurgens is an up and coming player that once Kelsey sadly does retire, I think the transition will be seamless.
Yeah, it looks that way, and that's a great guy to mold your career after, especially the way he can get downfield and set those blocks. I mean, he's just fantastic. Ways in the locker room with the team, off the field. I think that Jurgens would be able to take all of that and apply that to his life, his football career, everything, and it's just amazing what type of culture this team has, especially with someone like Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, you keep hearing about him left and right and how he just does the right thing.
Yeah,
he seems to be doing the right thing on the field, off the field, just leading this group and being an influence on everybody to give their all, play 110%. I mean, it's fantastic just to watch, to see, to hear. Yeah. I mean, and I can't say enough about this entire team. And we were talking about Washington. We talked about the Colts, and we talked about a lot of the tough games that we had faced. Even the Texans, a little glaring, but still pulled out victories.
Right.
But that was coming off of a bye, and then you had an odd schedule of like a semi-long break with a Thursday night game thrown in there. I mean, with all that taken into account, bouncing off of that bye, shaking off those cobwebs, if you will, they just started rolling. Like you were saying, I think it's 123 points over the last 3 games.
Yeah,
that is almost unheard of.
Yeah, I mean they're playing at such a high clip, and one of their best receivers in Dallas Goedert hasn't been there the whole time, and we should be getting him back this week. And again with what Devontae, Miles, AJ, Quez,
even I like what Quez is when given the opportunity.
Right,
he has been shining as well.
He's been a really good number 3 for us. So, I mean, listen, this offense is humming. Defense is, lost in this is T.J. Edwards, who is having an All-Pro season, basically.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
all over the field.
I mean, the fact that him and Kaiser White and Reddick again, another 10-sack year, first player in NFL history to have 10+ sacks in 3 straight seasons for 3 different teams.
That's impressive,
right? And he's also one of 2 people to have 10+ sacks in the last 3 seasons. The other one is Myles Garrett.
Wow,
it's pretty good company when you have somebody like Myles Garrett, who's
arguably one of the best.
Right? Yeah,
yeah.
So and the whole line has over 6 sacks. Everybody on the line. Brandon Graham has 8.5. Cox has 6. Hargrave has 8. Sweat, I think, has 6.5. So they're all right there. We technically are leading the NFL in sacks right now, which I think anybody who's been an Eagles fan knows that I mean,
and all without
that
like
just-
constant blitzing.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, we don't need to blitz.
Don't need to, which is
I
fantastic.
mean, you have your linebackers playing great. You have D-backs that are just absolutely swarming on people, and this, again, is any time that there seems to be a situation, an issue, whatever, we figure it out. How he
Yeah.
figures it out, Nick figures it out, and we move on to the next. And it's every week. It's literally a question. The question isn't, oh man, what how are we gonna? No, it's how are we gonna beat you?
Yeah.
Are we gonna run the ball 300 yards down your throat? We're gonna pass the ball for
300,
400,
yeah.
300, 400 yards. Are we gonna just play a stout defense and not let you do anything? Like, we have so many weapons to win games. It's honestly, I want to say this might be in my lifetime. This has to be roster wise easily the top 3, if not top 2 rosters of all time in my lifetime.
And just a complete overall
Right.
team, like you were saying. I mean, just take example, just that small example of a punter getting hurt, leaving the game, not coming back in the game. Who steps up? Jake Elliott comes in and punts.
Yep.
And then you have Britton Covey, who apparently has been doing this, has been called to do this position as a holder quite often before.
Right.
And not only that, I've heard that he played quarterback in high school, I believe.
So you got
So
time
you
doing
have that
there.
opportunity to also run a fake if
Yeah.
needed or
Right.
if wanted. So, I mean, just the fact that it's that next man up, everybody's available to do whatever is necessary
Yeah.
to help this team succeed.
Yeah.
It just echoes your point of this team being
Complete team.
so well rostered and
Right.
formidable. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
Yeah.
getting back to the Jalen Hurts thing, again, we obviously had concerns. I know there were a lot of people that were on the fence, as was I. I was hopeful. I thought he had the ability to do it. Again, I just am more of I need to see it, put it out there on the field, and let's go. And so I'm glad that he was able to do that. And I know that there were things that we wanted him to kind of work on, going through his progressions, accuracy, arm strength, staying in the pocket, stuff like that. He has improved all that. But, and I talked about it last night on the Football Smack Talk show, is I think the greatest leap from last year to this year has been his leadership.
Yeah.
He has absolutely taken this team, and they have just bought in 1,000%. And I hate to kind of even use this as a comparison and bring it up, but when you look at what we were like with Carson Wentz, it's different. It absolutely, there's 100% different feel of when Carson was leading this team and versus Hurts.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with, ability and whatnot and what they did. And it's just, you get this sense that this team is so much more in and invested. And they are, like you said, next man up, do whatever is required. You asked me to do this, I'm going to do it. I don't care how much money I get. I want to help this team win.
Yeah.
And you get that vibe from this team. And you can see that they're always, they're having fun. They're enjoying it as well, which is, I think, as we've watched sports throughout our entire life, you can definitely tell when the team is just feeling it. You get that sense when they're really enjoying it. That's when they're doing so amazing things on the field, and it translates to how they act and with each other and with fans and so forth and so forth. So.
Yeah.
That's the just complete vibe that this team is putting out right now, and obviously it's showing. They're 12-1. They have been dominating for the most part every single team that they've come. They've only had a few close games, and they have the Bears upcoming next. Bears are not that great. They're 3-10. Obviously, you don't want to ever overlook anybody.
No.
But I can.
I don't think.
I can say that.
I don't think that they are.
I'm not playing.
Yeah, and I seriously don't think that they are.
No.
I mean, it could be tempting to say, all right, we're just going to roll over these guys and then head into Dallas. But like you were saying before with Jalen Hurts, I mean, he is bringing this energy and this culture in which you're seeing it in his post-game interviews. I mean, the guy is a stand-up, focused guy.
Laser focused.
Just your question? Yeah, I got your answer. Your question? I got your answer.
Yeah.
Your question? I don't really remember that play, but here's your answer anyway. I mean, it's just his preparation, what he does off the field, coming in early, staying late. You hear that all the time with a lot of the top athletes,
Sure, right.
top performers
Right.
on teams.
Well, first one in, last
one out. And it's becoming cliche, but from what you hear from this team and the coaches and the staff, he really is the first one in, and he really is the last one out. And he's staying, and he's working with Quez. He's working with Devontae and AJ. And, this offensive line is just playing out of their minds for him. Not many people talk about Lane Johnson just because he's so consistently good.
He is
out of this world good. I mean, the amount of pressures that
he's... the stat that he broke the record for most consecutive games without allowing a sack in NFL history.
And nobody talks about it.
No one talks about it. He probably won't make the Pro Bowl.
And it's
because he always gets overlooked.
There's a lot of guys that are performing very well, but he just makes it look so easy. It's like when Fletcher Cox was doing in his prime.
Yeah.
He's getting double teamed, but still making tackles, still making plays, getting in the backfield. But he was getting double teamed so much that he wasn't getting the amount of he wasn't getting the stats that would propel him to be the defensive player of the year, which he should have been in at least two of those 4 or 5.
There were a couple there that he definitely should have been in consideration for sure.
I mean, he was going up against studs, so it's very hard to say, oh, he was just better. But he wasn't getting those stats. And Lane Johnson is not the flashy guy. Offensive linemen usually don't get a lot of praise anyway.
No, it's hard to it's hard to kind of determine how great an offensive lineman is in a lot of ways because you don't have the stats like you do for pretty much every other position, whether it's, pass breakups or interceptions or tackles or whatever. What do you have? You have
don't let up sacks, don't let up pressures,
pancakes. Yeah. You got pancakes. You got the sacks. Yeah. So there's not a lot of statistics when it comes to that, but it's a lot of it is the eye test, and Lane Johnson passes it every time.
Yeah,
and this whole offensive line is just
when you're picking on Mailata for having just a couple issues here and there, when it is his second year or second
starter, second year, not even full starter,
and
he had like 1 or 2 plays where the guy got around him and forced Jalen, one for the sack and one he kind of forced him into a bad throw, which luckily didn't end up doing anything. But yeah, I mean, if that's the worst thing that we're dealing with, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah,
and it's this offensive line. I mean,
and Dickerson and Sayamalo are just playing very well too.
Yeah.
With Kelsey just doing his thing. I mean, it's fantastic.
I mean,
I keep saying that word, and I keep hearing myself say it, but it is just so awesome to see this team.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's so awesome to see this team do so well. And just dominate the way they have over these past 3 games.
Yeah.
Any questions that anyone has had over the past month, they have answered with an exclamation point at the end.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see.
What are you going to do about Aaron Rodgers?
We're going to shut him down.
Yeah. What are you going to do about Derrick Henry? 30 friggin' yards later. Yeah, I think we did all right against him.
And it wasn't just Aaron Rodgers. It was Aaron Rodgers and that running back room.
Right.
Who's fantastic.
Yeah.
There are no slouches.
It's a 1-2 punch that is like no other in the league right now.
And handled that.
Yeah.
I mean, Saquon Barkley is arguably in the top 5 running backs in the league when healthy. And he is healthy. And he had already eclipsed 1,000 yards for the year.
Yep.
And
but he didn't really help himself.
Shut him out.
He didn't help himself this year.
No.
Or this game.
And again, it's funny that he's going against his former understudy, if you want to call it.
Well, I mean,
his backup at Penn State, and his backup at Penn State eclipsed him by what, 100 yards?
Over 100 yards. Yeah.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
And that's all in a trip, and all in tribute to the offensive line.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Miles Sanders said it himself. He's like, this offensive line is 100% the reason why I'm having success this year. He's, they're giving me the time to do what I can do, and again, that's a beautiful thing to hear. And that across the board, who would you say is the weak point of the line? Probably say Sayamalo, but man, he quietly does his job.
Exactly.
And when you have two Hall of Famers basically next to you,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that makes your job a lot easier. It's just, hey, I just got to focus on one guy. If I push him a little bit, I know I got help. If I push a little bit, I know I got help. It's a beautiful thing. It's this line.
Would you say it's fantastic?
Yeah, fantastic would be a great word for it, for sure. Listen, I can't. I mean, it's a great time to be an Eagles fan. I mean, it's again, we haven't had some good years, some average years, lately, and what's different is 2017, came out of nowhere, just kind of like this year. I don't think anybody really was expecting us to get 12 wins this early, or 12 wins at all. I think I may have predicted 11 wins total for the year.
Yeah.
So I'm wrong, but I also bet the over of 9.5. Pretty sure.
Very smart.
Pretty sure
Great
I
bet.
Pretty sure I put $50 on that one, so I should get a good return there. So unlike 2017, where I think it would, you could see the kind of the ramp up, and things obviously worked, in magic, things.
That was a team of destiny.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, nothing could have stopped us that year. Especially Tom Brady throwing 500 yards in the Super Bowl.
But this year really came out of nowhere. Yeah. I think we all were like, okay, well, hey, like in 2 years, man.
Exactly.
I think we'll have a great team. We just got to figure out this quarterback.
This is a young squad.
Right.
This is the team of the future.
Right.
If they don't do well this year, we have the draft pick from the Saints. We have this and that. Now the draft pick from the Saints not only is looking that good, it's just the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake.
Yeah.
Because the icing on top of the cake is being 12-1.
Yeah.
The cherry on top is that top 5 pick or top.
Yeah.
Right now it's top 10 pick.
Right now it's
my
5.
Goodness.
And the way I look at it is, if we can stay 4 or 5 in that range, we could get one of the top D linemen, Carter or Anderson Jr., which would be amazing.
Yeah.
If you're gonna add a young stud D lineman to Jordan Davis, to Josh Sweat, and again, whoever kind of
I think I would like your opinion on this, but I think that Hargrave has played well enough this year to warrant at least another year or two.
I would hope so.
Okay.
I as much as I wouldn't want to get rid of Cox, I don't want to pay him what we paid him.
I want to ask him, can you please just retire an Eagle?
Oh yeah, either that or take
a very team friendly deal.
Or take like $4 million.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to pay you that much money again. Like, you played great. Thank you very much.
If he gets more sacks and then more tackles throughout this year, it's tough not to pay him, right?
I know, and then that's probably going to make him not be here, because
if that's the hardest thing that Howie has to deal with in the offseason, then that's okay.
Yeah. So but you also have Brandon Graham. But again, if you're drafting Will Anderson, I mean, no offense to Brandon Graham, I love you, buddy. You've been an Eagle for the longest time,
and
you've had
one of the best Eagles.
You've had your ups and downs, and it took you a little while to figure things out, but you got there. And again, I would love to have you at a reduced rate, because the depth, especially if we win a Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you always have that where it's kind of split, where you win a Super Bowl and players that are free agents go out and get that extra money because they're Super Bowl champions. And then you also have the other side where, hey, we just won a Super Bowl. Let's effing run it back. Like I'll take a couple less mil to stay and redo this. So I'm hoping some of these older guys, the Coxes, the Grahams, will go that route, take the less money, keep the depth going, and especially if we're going to add Jalen Carter or Will Anderson, something like that with that early Saints pick, to combine that with Jordan Davis, and if we re-sign Hargrave, if we keep most of that D-line intact, my God, it's going to be disgustingly scary. It's going to be fantastic.
Yes, it will.
And so you have that conundrum. Then you have the linebacker conundrum where you have TJ Edwards, who's playing amazing. You have Kaiser White. He's had a little bit up and down, but again, I do like him.
Yeah.
So you have that of, what are you going to do there? I would kind of assume that maybe TJ Edwards is the one they focus on. By Kaiser White, insert Dean, all is good. And then the defensive backfield, you have James Bradbury. You have Gardner Johnson. Personally, I would keep both if I could. Gardner Johnson would be my preferable player just because he's younger.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to be a little bit less money, as a safety than at a corner. So, but then again, say if that Saints pick, say they win a game or two, before the end of the year, and it's still a top 10. Well, you have Ringo, corner from where is he, Alabama, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is an absolute stud. Or you have Joey Porter Jr. from Ohio State, again, another stud.
Yeah.
Like you can easily replenish the losing of James Bradbury with another, amazing rookie. Yeah. So, that's the beauty of this team right now is they have, I think the 25th most committed money. Their cap space is right around there, and kind of that top. I mean, they only have like $5 or $6 million, but nobody has any money at this point in the year.
Exactly.
And then you have the extra first this year, the extra second next year. You have an extra third or fourth next year.
Yeah, fourth.
Or the year after. So this team has the ability to replenish what they need to replenish. They have the draft picks to get even younger. They're already young, pretty much. They have 3/5 of the offensive line that are 24 and under, that are ready to go as soon as Kelsey is unfortunately going to retire. Which who knows? I feel like every year we go through it, and it's like whatever.
Well, it's his choice, man. It's either that or become the mayor of Philadelphia. That's the only two choices that I think he should go.
Or the mayor of Sea Isle. Yeah,
I mean,
I'd do that. That'd be nice too.
Yeah,
I feel like he's.
I think he's already the mayor.
He probably is. He probably is. So you already have, that going for you. You're eventually going to need to figure out the Lane Johnson replacement, but maybe that doesn't need to happen this upcoming year. Again, have a conversation with Lane and say, hey, listen, I still feel like I have a couple of good years left. Don't, let me do that. Don't find my replacement just yet.
Yeah.
So that's something we can kind of push back. And then again, defensive line, we're starting to replenish that with Jordan Davis. Hopefully with this top 5 pick, we can get one of those 2 big studs. That would be amazing. We'll start replenishing there. We have a young linebacker group with Dean and Edwards. Obviously Slay's getting up there. Bradbury's, getting up there. But you have Gardner Johnson. If you can keep him in the mix, again, young. And then offensively, Jesus.
Take your pick.
A.J. Brown is what, 26, 27. Dallas Goedert's 26, 27. Devontae Smith's a baby.
Jalen Hurts is a baby.
Miles Sanders is 25. So we have youth so everywhere. Like,
I know, it's amazing.
I shudder to think of, again, the decisions that Howie has to make this offseason. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be some hard decisions here, but and in fact, I would really love to look into seeing, at the end of the year when the off season does start. And obviously, depending on how the salary cap goes, which should again be going up, how much money we really have to play with the pending free agents, and kind of, again, I would love to kind of get a good rough estimate of like maybe what they're, projected to be signing for money wise, and seeing exactly how much we can bring back, because that's going to be a pretty important part of this offseason is who we're bringing back.
Has Miles Sanders done enough this year to warrant contract / prove to the people that were questioning him? Because we had the questions about Hurts, we had the questions about who's going to be sticking around, what are we going to do, blah 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 blah. But what are we going to do with Miles Sanders?
That's a tough one, because I feel like he's done so much this year. He's really proven himself. Over 1,000 yards, over 10 touchdowns after coming up for last year with 0. But it's tough. That second year running back contract is always kind of an iffy situation in the NFL. But he's, like I said, he's 25. So you can give him a 3-year deal and not strap yourself like Dallas, say, where they gave all that money to Zeke and he's kind of fallen off, and they have Pollard kind of coming up, and now they're like, they're two still good running backs. We have to kind of use them both now. But we're paying one like $13 million. Like, I don't think Miles Sanders is going for that much, but
no,
still, he's going to get a hefty raise. So,
yeah.
And a lot of people are projecting, drafting a running back with the second pick. If Bijan Robinson falls, or the kid from Alabama falls into their lap with that 31st pick. So yeah, that's going to be another tough one. Yeah, you always forget that Miles Sanders.
They might go into that Penn State pool again, because Penn State has a solid two running backs that I wouldn't be mad if they, they're both young and early in their college career, but they both look fantastic. That's up to the 5 on fantastic count. So I'll end it there.
Pretty sure it was like 700. Anyway, folks, we didn't really get into anything else today.
Joel Embiid just put up 53 points, having another stellar season, averaging almost 10 rebounds, almost 5 assists, and close to 34 points. Yeah. Like, we'll call it 33 points.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yes, but I'm glad they're getting healthy.
Maxey, come back soon.
Yeah, please. That will, once Maxey comes back, you get a couple games in you. Then we'll really see where this team is. So,
yeah.
Phillies did add to the rotation.
Taijuan
Walker. They added Strome to the bullpen. Been a little quiet over the last week or so.
Expected after the
big rush. Yeah. So we'll see what the Phils do for the rest of the time here. So, but that's going to be it for us. Please make sure that you stay locked in to the Philly Sports Alliance here on Facebook and YouTube for the Birds of the Round Table coming up to you in about 5 minutes. So we got to put on our Birds of the Round Table hats, and we will see you guys in a few. Thank you, everybody, for listening, following for the Philly BroCast. Please make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe all of our socials. Just follow us at Philly Sports Alliance. And on Twitter, we are at Philly Sports PSA. But yeah, anything to add before we head out?
No. Go Birds.
All right. Go Birds. Go Sixers. Go Phils. Sign some more people. And Flyers, well, I mean, there's always.
You don't have the worst record in the league.
No, but you can always get that number 1 pick, though.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Won't help.
Yeah, probably won't help. All right, folks. We will see you guys next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, as always. So for the Philly BroCast, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Ryan. Peace out, bros.
Later, bro. Peace.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Artlist.io